Sheba. Nick stopped and curtsied towards Paddy, who grinned and began to curtsy back, but Eleanor began to grizzle. Nick put her hand out and gently held Eleanor's little chubby fist. "I meant you as well, little one. We 3 shall all be the Queens of Sheba." As they got closer to the back of the house, it began to rain. Paddy tried to keep Eleanor protected from the elements, but the heavens had properly opened. Everyone else had now disappeared inside, but a back door opened and Hal came running out towards them carrying 2 umbrellas. He had already taken his coat and boots off and was now getting his socks wet as he ran across the lawn towards them. Laughing and gasping from the sudden downpour, they all piled into the house. Hal peeled his socks off and then grumbled about the cold flagstones. As he went off to grab another pair of socks, Nick and Paddy laughed as they heard him shout to Seb that he needed to install underfloor heating. Rory then shouted back that he needed to stop being a great southern Jessie. He might have got away with the jest, but for the disembodied voice of Clem, who reminded him that he had just installed a heated driveway. As the ribbing and the conversation continued loudly across many rooms, the twins headed towards the large sitting room where a fire was blazing, and the other 3 sisters were already enjoying hot drinks and were cuddled down into various armchairs and sofas. Hector was building bricks on the rug in front of Harry, but other than that the room was still and quiet. Nick smiled and relaxed. "I know," said Asta. "A moment of calm, isn't it lovely?" "Enjoy it while you can," said Harry. "Seb is washing down the dogs, Dickie's feeding the boys, and Rory is getting changed, I think." Rory had been playing tug-of-war with Leo and Will and had somehow managed to lose and fall in a muddy puddle, to the boys' great entertainment. "You know, I think he fell in the mud deliberately." Harry smiled as she shook her head and continued trying to account for where everyone was. "What's Hal up to?" "Changing Eleanor and then they'll come and join us. He might see if she'll sleep," replied Paddy hopefully. The door opened and the girls smiled as Dickie came in. She was the only other person who had known their mother, and they would regularly plague her for tales of her as a young girl. "Ariana, I've taken the boys to bed." Their heads were nodding as they drank their milk. Ari looked at her wristwatch. It was 3 o'clock now. They would probably sleep for an hour, which suited her perfectly. She had every day to spend with her children, but opportunities to spend time with her sisters altogether were few and far between. It was only because Asta was about to go travelling that they had all found a free weekend before she left. Ari couldn't help being uncomfortable that Asta was going to fly away for so long. Seb pointed out the time would fly by and that she would do better being worried for the countries that Asta visited. "You know, Asta," Ari addressed her little sister, "you could always get a secondment to work with some of Nick's contacts. They're always looking for computer whiz kids." Asta groaned. "It's not going to work, Ari. I'm serious. I just want to play and explore. I want to change." Asta had got a first-class honours degree in classics from Cambridge. It came as barely a surprise when they discovered that she had also been taking a degree in computing sciences and got a first in that as well. Asta was the brain box in the family. She didn't get bored as such, but everything interested her, and she always wanted to know more. "I plan to really sink my teeth into Greece and Italy. Imagine the triremes sailing out of the Ostia. Picture Plato striding around the Agora. I might call in on Otto and Louis." "You'll need to be quick. I think they're planning a trip to India before they return to Scotland for the summer," said Clem, who had first encountered Otto in Scotland running the family castle. Both women were creative geniuses who knew their own minds. They were both stubborn and had clashed almost immediately. It wasn't until Otto was reunited with the love of her life that she had begun to mellow and enjoy life. For the past year, Otto had been living something of a peripatetic life and hadn't yet decided where it was she